So, however you arrange it.
All right. You want us to come and speak in the...
Wherever you're most.
All right. How often am I going to be behind a podium at a Senate building? So I'm going to take advantage of that. Well, good afternoon. My name is Jae H. I'm a senior fellow for U.S.-Korea Relations at the Center for the National Interest. I want to thank Chairman Pittenger for your kind invitation to participate in this very important forum. And thank you, Congresswoman Young Kim, for your great comprehensive overview of our policy in Asia. So around 11 o'clock last night, I threw away my presentation and rewrote it. My original presentation was going to be about South Korea's perspective in North Korea's involvement in the Russia-Ukraine war, how that affects South Korea's security, the alliance, and then with its neighbors, and then something like a martial law declaration happened. And so and I know my capable colleagues are going to address those issues from different perspectives, so I'm going to limit my comments on what's going on in South Korea, what is likely to happen in South Korea, and then what are the security implications for that. So in the words of Elon Musk, wow, unbelievable was his reaction to President Yoon Suk-yeol's declaration of martial law that happened Tuesday around 8:30 our time, around 10:30 in Seoul time. And my wife was getting text messages from her father. So my father-in-law, and I thought it was a joke. And so I started calling my colleagues in Korea, and this was amazing. President Yoon claimed that there are pro-North anti-state forces in the government that were trying to overthrow the country. And then ironically, he rationalized that he must declare martial law in order to safeguard democracy. I believe this is in parallel to what the military junta in Myanmar said back in 2021. Immediately, some 280 special forces surrounded the National Assembly, tried to prevent parliamentarians from entering. The opposition, which counts for about 2/3 in the National Assembly, somehow were able to get almost 170 of them in, along with 18 members of the ruling party, that's the president's party, the People Power Party, and with 190 votes had passed a resolution to void the martial law. And so the president appeared around 4:30 in the morning that he would accept the National Assembly resolution and rescind the martial law, but he nonchalantly refused to accept the gravity of the situation, still blaming the opposition for his actions, stating that the opposition made governing impossible with its impeachment of senior government officials and the refusal to pass a downsized budget. The opposition parties have announced that they will begin the impeachment process this Saturday. The conservative ruling party, which is a minority party of about 70 members, the party leadership has said that they are not going to allow the impeachment process to go on because it's just be too traumatic for Korean domestic political structure. The opposition only needs about 8 defections from the ruling party to get the majority of about 200 votes. And it appears that there is already a crack in the system where some reform-minded young politicians in the ruling party have voiced that they would defect, and it is likely that the opposition will get 8 votes, and the impeachment on Saturday will go through. So what happens next? According to Korean law, if he is impeached, then it has to go to the Constitutional Court, which is different from a Supreme Court. It's the highest court that deals with constitutional issues. And then it must adjudicate and pass by 6 votes. Well, unfortunately, there are only 6 justices in this constitutional court, largely because the opposition had been stonewalling and preventing 3 justices from being nominated. And so if there's no impeachment on Saturday, you can expect the opposition to mobilize tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people, and eventually the president will have to be either impeached or will have to step down. It is not a question of if, it is a question of when. If that happens, the president has, the National Assembly is given, I think, to organize a national election within 60 days after the conclusion of the Constitutional Court's ruling. And where does this go from here? It's strange to me why this happened at all. The president has said that there are anti-state forces, but to understand what's going on in Korea is that the tyranny of the majority really in the National Assembly with the Democratic Party. It is part of the democratic process. If you win the election, you have a majority, you have almost a free will. The problem with that is that the government, the ruling party has felt that it was unable to govern at all. But largely the focus is on the opposition party to go after the president's wife, and also to safeguard their leader, who is under many indictments. I think he's scheduled to have 5 court cases in which any one conviction would prevent him from being in politics for 10 years. And so now it looks like the president will either be impeached or will have to resign. There will be a snap election within 60 days after the Constitutional Court ruling. And now it's a foregone conclusion that the leader of the opposition, Lee Jae-myung, will become the next president of Korea sometime in the next spring. It could be April, it could be May, but probably by June. And what does this mean for the alliance? This, as my colleagues in Korea said, this would be a presidency like Moon Jae-in on steroids. And I think U.S.-ROK alliance initially will be very ambivalent. I think the kind of U.S.-ROK Japan trilateral relationship, depending on who becomes security policy aides, but some leading policy aides of that party have already had put brakes on Korea-Japan collaboration. I don't think it bodes well, especially because we're having a very no-nonsense American administration that's going to come in January. And so I think the dynamics are not good. I think the Koreans have really kind of, they have an opportunity to make this right, but given where they are with their political leaders, I'm very pessimistic about where the U.S.-ROK alliance relationship is going to go. And so now I'm going to turn to the foremost leading expert of Korea, Sid Seiler.